It's a good thing I have this Champion generator. To follow up on my Ryobi review, by the way, here they both are in their natural habitat, I'm going to compare the Ryobi 2300 watt remote start inverter generator and the Champion 3500 watt wireless remote start generator. As a follow-up to my Ryobi 2300 review, I want to thank Ryobi for replacing my generator under warranty. The old one had a bad starter, needed a carb rebuild, and had a bad Bluetooth board that they couldn't seem to fix. So they gave me a new one, which has worked pretty well for a few months, but now, suddenly, it says this on its screen that it is doing a software upgrade, which it never asked me about, and the message won't go away. The phone app has a warning and says it will shut down due to carbon monoxide, which, outdoors like this, couldn't possibly be a problem. My Ryobi generator was unreliable in cold weather, so I bought this Champion remote start generator to replace it a year and a half ago. The Champion is much cheaper, but is not the same type of generator, and it lacks some of the features of the Ryobi. Let's compare the two. First off, the Ryobi is an inverter generator. The Champion is not. An inverter generator runs the motor at whatever speed is needed to generate the power required. It rectifies that to DC, then electronically inverts it back to 120 volts AC 60 Hz. The inverter generator is easier on sensitive electronics, like audio amplifiers. But don't buy it because you use a computer with it. Computer power supplies can tolerate a large range of voltages, frequencies, and even bad waveforms. They don't need an inverter generator. Because it is a non-inverter generator, the Champion must run at a constant speed to produce 120 volts 60 Hz. It naturally produces a clean sine wave, but it has a harder time keeping voltage and frequency constant with a changing load. An inverter generator can therefore get by with less fuel burn on small loads. It burns just enough to do the job, while the Champion must burn enough to keep a constant and higher RPM. This makes the Ryobi quieter since it can throttle way down. The Champion is marketed as a 3500 watt and is actually rated at 4375 watts peak and 3500 watts continuous, while the Ryobi is marketed as a 2300 watt, but that's the peak power. It's actually rated at 1800 watts continuous. 1800 isn't quite enough to run the microwave in my camper well, but it does run. The Champion runs the microwave very well and can run a small arc welder also. The Champion has wheels because it weighs a good bit more than the Ryobi. The Ryobi has two standard 15-amp outlets, while the higher-powered Champion has 3 different kinds of outlets, particularly useful for RVs. It has a display, which is not on because I didn't want to hear the generator. The display tells you the frequency and the voltage. It does not tell you the current. The Champion comes with a 12-volt lead-acid gel cell battery that starts the motor. That battery charges whenever the generator is running. Makes sense, right? The Ryobi uses a 1 Plus battery. That's in the front in that little compartment there. But astoundingly, does not charge it when it's in the generator. They send an additional charger to use once the generator's running, and then you'll need to put it back in the generator to start it again. That is, unless you use the pull cord, which both generators have as a backup. The Champion has a bigger gas tank to make up for the bigger fuel consumption. In my experience, a tank of gas lasts about the same amount of time with my load on either generator. But here comes the killer. The Ryobi has a smartphone app. It allows you to start and stop the generator, and it shows the power load in watts on your phone, how much gas is left. Seems cool. But the Bluetooth in the Ryobi proved less than reliable, particularly in cold weather, exactly when you don't want to leave the camper to mess with a generator. Sometimes it won't start, sometimes it won't stop. The Champion has a fob. Simple fob with a start button and a stop button, and that's it. No meter, no displays, just a start and a stop button. The new Ryobi never starts on the first try. Well, at least it didn't before it had this problem. It did almost always start on the second try. Go figure. But the Champion, which again I've owned and used frequently with many start-stops per day for a year and a half, has never not once failed to start on the first try. Every time I've pushed the start button on the Champion fob, which is hundreds of starts, it is fired up on the first try. Since I use this when camping often in cold and rainy weather, this is really important to me. Every single time. So the Ryobi, that's the Ryobi. The Ryobi wins on fuel consumption, noise, and portability. The Champion wins on price, higher power output, battery charging feature. What was Ryobi thinking? And most importantly, by having a reliable remote control.